right. So, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Aspire. I'm super excited to get this going. It has been a long time coming. And I wanted to bring on one of my very own friends here, a part of my board of directors of friends who, although we don't talk and text often as we used to, or as often as we used to, he's still there and he's helped me throughout my life. So super excited to have him on board. And one of the topics we're going to talk about today is how did you, Jarrell, survive the pandemic spiritually, mentally, and physically? And I put in those three things because honestly, really better yet, in order to be a better self, you have to take care of yourself. And those are three ways that you can do so. So, before I get started with answering some questions, Jarrell, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and give us your little 30-minute elevator speech.
Not 30 minutes. Um,
It's 30.
Jeez, I was like, dang, I was not prepared for 30 minutes now.
No,
I mean, I can talk, but I don't 30 minutes for myself. I'm not that person. You know me, so um
your quick intro about you.
my name is Jarrell Kite, and I am an insurance agent, a life and health insurance agent. And basically for me, what I do is I go around actually getting referrals from customers, or should I say not customers, but clients. And what I do is I provide health and life supplemental packages. Basically, that's what I do. And most of what I do is mostly providing work permanent coverage for them
Mm,
outside of their job. If they don't have health or life insurance outside of their job, that's what I pretty much help them with.
okay.
Something that's reasonable, affordable, something that's too not too out of their price range, making sure they're covered. Well, first of all, like if they want to invest in themselves and stuff of that nature, and they're not leaving their family in a bind,
Gotcha.
that's what I help out with.
And you know,
And
it's
I'm Go
definitely
ahead.
big. It's huge where a lot of people leave their family in a bind because they're not thinking about those things. So it's good.
No, they're not. They're definitely not thinking about those things. A lot of people, if they think they need it, or let's say if they think they don't need it because their job already has it taken care of, what
Mhm.
they don't know is that it's temporary.
Yeah.
And if they leave that job, guess what? All those benefits and everything else goes with it. So, that's whether they get disabled, car accident, they get budget cuts, is like layoff and stuff of that nature. My job is to help them in just in case of those times.
Yeah.
Basically, expecting the unexpected, because we know how this pandemic has hit a lot of people, and just out of nowhere, you have loved ones, friends that have passed away, stuff of that nature, and it's taking its toll on a lot of people. So
Right.
for me, that's the focus for me. I mean, yes, I get paid handsomely, but that's not really the focus for me. That never was. So for me, it's just about helping those in our community, and that's all over the state of Florida. I'm licensed for Florida, so I mean, I can help out anybody in any city, county. It doesn't matter. I'm working on getting my license in other states as well, so I can help my friends out in other states too. So
Okay.
um, yeah. That, like I said, it's about helping. It's about helping the community, especially the Black community, because
Right.
as you know, we don't believe in health or life insurance for that matter.
Yeah.
Um, we don't. We just realize it when it's too late. So for us, it's a big deal. That's partly what I do. That's the main thing that I do, and then the other thing that I do also is I MC. I
Okay.
host nightlife events. So I do that in the city of Orlando. I do that in also Jacksonville as well. I'll come back there once a month and do some things. I'm working on other cities too. But that's also another passion of mine that I do.
You're busy, busy, busy.
Very.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for that intro of yourself. Now, to kind of jump into the questions here, during the pandemic, what were some difficult moments that you had that you feel kind of comfortable sharing with everyone?
Ooh, difficult moments. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody can relate to this. I don't know if I don't know if as many people lost as many close people as I did. Um, but it started around April. We lost a close family member. One of my pastor's dad passed away in April, and he was a close family friend of ours. And then my great granddad ended up passing in August. So that was kind of he was up there in age, but at the same time, it was just one of those things, you think Iron Man,
Right,
93, 94 years old, so you're thinking, oh, it's something, it's all right, he'll be fine.
right, right.
Um, then also had a close friend of mine pass from his battle with sickle cell in October. So that was like 2 months apart. Then a month later, I had a friend of mine pass on Thanksgiving. Um, yeah, I had a friend of mine pass on Thanksgiving, by way which I don't feel comfortable talking about, so I'm not going to the details on that, but
Oh, that's
had
fine.
that. Gotcha. Just and then January, one of my closest friends, or but also a relative, like a brother, my cousin, he passed away in January. So, and then in February, I had a high school teammate. The month right after that, pass away, just out of the blue. So yeah, I had a rough pandemic. I don't know how many people that is, like either 6, 7, somewhere around there. So it was a lot mentally. It wore
I bet.
a lot.
I'm so
So
sorry to hear all of that. Oh gosh. Ooh.
yeah,
I can empathize. I don't want to say that I know what you're going through because no one knows what other people are going through in those set situations, but I think, like you said, a lot of people can relate to having somebody close to them passing in some way, shape, or form, whether it be from the pandemic or in any other shape or anything else.
right.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of that took its toll mentally. For me, that was the hardest part of the pandemic. I can't really say uh, work wise that I suffered from. I know I did. I was able, my job related, my previous job before I went back into the insurance industry, they allowed me to take a couple of days off and stuff like that. But for me, sometimes I chose to work through it,
Yeah.
so my mind wouldn't necessarily focus on that, just because of, there's nothing really for you to do mentally. I mean, yeah, you pray, and you know you do all of that good stuff and stuff like that, but at the same time, when you're just in the house, all you're doing is it's going to come to your mind eventually. That's like kind of somewhat all you can really think about.
Right.
So I just kind of chose to kind of work through it most days, just because that succession of the amount of people that passed that were close to me or were family, it happened, like it felt like almost every month,
Mm.
so that mentally took its toll on me. And to be honest, I think the only way I really made it through was because of close friends,
For sure.
like yourself. I had a lot of close friends reach out, family, um, a lot of people that really helped me through all that ordeal, because to have that many people pass away and that
Right. That was a
close,
lot. Every time I turned around, I said, "Oh my goodness, Jarrell, not again."
yeah,
It was just like you had just gotten over. this, and then this happened, and it was just back to back to back to back. Like you said, I bet that took a crazy toll for sure. Oof.
Very much so. So it was a lot. It was a lot to get through. I don't wish that on anybody. I'll say that much. I don't wish that on anybody. That's not. I don't want anybody to experience what the heck I had to go through a pandemic like that. That was absolutely nuts for me. So
And you had
it
a
really
too. It wasn't just the pandemic; it was other things as well.
right. It was other things. It wasn't just because of the pandemic. That's the crazy part. Like I could say, only if I'm not mistaken, really only one death actually was as a result of the pandemic.
Right.
Only one,
Wow.
and that was the one in April. So uh, yeah, that was like it was just it just took its toll, and it taught me. I thought I knew
Yeah.
about mental health and everything and stuff like that, but I could say this: the pandemic taught me a lot more about mental health and how important it is for us. Um, and if somebody's going through or anything like that, just reach out,
For sure.
you know. So
For
that's definitely like I said, that's how I survived the pandemic was through friends, family, and faith. So
most definitely. Friends, family, and faith. The three F's. That's it for sure, for sure. So, talking about and transitioning a little bit into the spiritual aspect, a lot of churches closed during the pandemic. And of course, there were a select few, like my home church actually stayed open during the pandemic because when we kept it small, less than 50 people, we stayed within the reason. And anytime that there was going to be anytime they exceeded the limit, obviously would follow social distancing protocol and like make sure that people were seated the right way or whatnot. But with that being said, some people weren't comfortable going into church and had to find other means to kind of help with their spiritual aspect of it. So how did you survive from a spiritual sense?
oof, um, a lot of conversations, a lot of conversations for me with a lot of close friends. A lot of the close friends that I have, including yourself, we're all very well connected when it comes to our faith, and we stand strong on it. Um, I'm not gonna lie, there were times where there was some crying on the other end. Like even if we like, say we couldn't see face to face, like or anything like that, there were definitely tears being shed, just because of the emotional toll that it takes on you.
Definitely.
Um, a lot of talking on the phone. I probably say I've talked more on the phone than I ever have in my life. Usually I'm a texter. I don't mind talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
However, during the pandemic it was something different. Just it was like whether it was checking up on people, saying how they're doing, there was a lot more talking over the phone going on. So definitely a lot of conversations that were had. Music, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Uh, for me, music is it is something of a soul kind of nurturing thing for me, for my soul wise. I
Yeah.
love music, so um definitely I probably said to say there was a lot of Fred Hammond
Yeah.
being played, a lot of Kirk Franklin. um to be honest, probably the verses probably helped out more than anything
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
during the pandemic, helping out as far as especially I remember when verses started, and I saw the topic on Twitter, and they were talking about if the when Pastor Hezekiah Walker and John P. Key did theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about another verses, and I was happy, like really, really happy when Fred Hammond and Kirk Franklin did theirs. That was the first thing. That was the first one that came to mind. We were gonna do a gospel verse. I was like, oh, we gotta do Kirk versus Fred. That's my whole childhood. So
Right.
I was very happy when that happened. Look, that was a whole church Sunday evening for me and my family. So everybody had their iPads out. We were listening, praising, all of that. We went to church that night. So
Listen, right? That is the way to do it. And I feel like that's where a lot of people, honestly, you have to worship in your own way, and that's what's uplifting. You know, when you have that upbeat, even if it's just that slow motion like type of music, just the lyrics, and just sit there and meditate on the words, right? That hits you, and that hits your soul, and it's just like, oh, wow, I needed that. I needed that.
Right. No, seriously, and that, like I said, for me, music is that's a lot. It's a lot of my therapy.
Yeah.
Um, so the spiritual aspect side, of course, I read the word, of course, during the pandemic and everything, but it's certain songs to me that hit here, right here in the heart. You know,
Mhm.
it kind of pierce you. You know, what I'm saying, especially when you're going through like a pandemic, like something we've never seen before, or experienced.
Right.
You know, for most of us, it's just like, okay, we're not allowed outside. We got curfews,
Right.
all sorts of stuff that we've never experienced. So a lot of people didn't really, know how to adjust to all of that. So
Course not. I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm part of that generation that we weren't always on Facebook and the computer and everything. We played outside with the sands and the sticks. Like, you know, we went out. You
right,
came home before the streetlights came on, and I mean, you were it. So trying to adjust to this and being more introverted, that was a whole adjustment within itself for us extroverts.
very much so. I agree with you. I say for me, not being able to experience, that interaction and stuff like that. Especially, me, I'm definitely I'm an extrovert, especially when it's around
Social
people especially
butterfly.
when it's around people I know. So it took a little bit of adjusting, but you gotta do what you gotta do in certain times. So that's what happened for the most part.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, at the end of the day, you still had the word. You still had that spiritual connection with God. You had that fellowship with your friends. You talked to them so much more on the phone than you ever would have.
Right.
So all of those connections and surrounding yourself by those people that obviously are spiritually fed also, I'm pretty sure, helped you get through that as well. Now, here's this big question, right? As a Black man, with everything going on with those social injustices that rose, and like, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about the mental illness and mental health awareness, and this is a huge thing, bigger than it's ever been before, in my opinion. What did you do to help with your mental illness? You know, they always say that mental exhaustion is worse than physical exhaustion. What did you do, like, to just help your safe space, and just for you not to dive so much deep and sulk into your mental illness? How did you pull yourself out, or let alone even prevent yourself from diving in?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. For me, especially with all the social injustice going on, that's something I had to get away from. I
Mhm.
mean, I am a social media guy. There are certain ones I prefer over others, but Twitter probably is my favorite just because of the comedy that you see and some of the outlandish things. And more often than not, you're gonna get updated on the news on Twitter before you actually see it hit TV.
That's
And
true.
I'm not. This is very true. So like, yeah, like you said, and I don't watch the news,
Mhm.
so I don't like that. That's a lot of depression for
Yeah.
me right there. Seeing people, shot and all that, just random, how that goes. Just random senselessness. Or yeah, senselessness. But yeah, for me, I had to leave a lot of that stuff alone. I got off social media sometimes,
Yeah.
just kind of give myself a break. And I did more reading. I did more reading, and of course, of course, I created a home gym.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I went out and bought certain things like weights. I even bought like a 50-pound weighted vest.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, just something for me. Working out was always therapy.
Hmm.
Music, playlists. That was another thing I started doing.
Hmm.
Um, and it's actually very popular now, right now. So amongst my friends, which I just started creating playlists just for the fun of it, and it's actually because of my friend DJ,
Mhm.
who passed away from sickle cell in October.
Yeah.
So he's actually the one that me and him just like we were always close friends, but we when I moved from Jacksonville to Orlando, we said we were all gonna stay in contact, and we did literally. Like I would talk to him like literally almost every other week. If it wasn't every week, it was every other week.
Yeah.
So um like he encouraged me to kind of, come up with stuff. Like we would always talk about music and what he was doing in his community, what I was doing. But we would always talk about music, and he encouraged me to make the playlist, and it just kind of became a thing of its own. I just started making playlists just for the fun of it, and uh, I guess kind of like the verses thing, music's therapy for a lot of people, so I just kind of just went along with it. And it wasn't just for myself; it was for other people. So,
Right.
uh, but music, working out, and video games sometimes, yeah, that always does it for me.
Really?
Oh, that always does it for me. I'm a video game freak. I don't do it as much as I used to because I don't have time.
Right.
But but
They say
definitely
you're in another
video
reality.
games. Yes.
Let me step into this realm and this other realm and get away from all of this. No, that's a good way to put that for sure, for sure. Wow. I mean, you talked about this already, so it's funny how they all tie together, and you did a lot of these things to help with all your physical, your social, and your mental. I mean, you have a home gym now, so that pretty much answers the question about what did you do physically. There's aside from just eating 2 to 3 times a day and snacking in between and drinking lots of water, there's a lot more
Hmm.
to trying to stay healthy physically, right? So wow. I, yeah, definitely. That home gym was probably the biggest thing that a lot of people had to adjust to with this whole pandemic.
Right, right. You couldn't even find a bicycle anywhere. I wanted a bicycle, but they were like all sold out. Everybody just started buying bikes out of the blue. So
You don't have a Peloton?
look, I was thinking about anything. Like it was just one of those things that just kind of get away. Like sometimes I would envision myself just like riding down a bike with this. I mean, because neighborhood I live in, there's plenty of sidewalks for you to jog and
Yeah,
bike and stuff like that. So um, yeah, I wanted to do that and just kind of like plug in and just kind of bike and just vibe the music. But yeah, people already had that of it. Any nearby stores you went to, like as far as like the Walmarts and the Targets, they're all sold out.
right. Hey, look, desks were sold out, toilet paper was sold out, bikes were sold out.
Yeah, it was a lot of that going around. A lot of look. I don't think the bikes were a part of the toilet paper
No, definitely,
panic buying,
definitely
but
not.
they definitely sold out. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be something to remember for sure. Wow, wow. And I think, geez, Jarrell, I can't even imagine just like what you had to do just to get through it. What is the biggest advice you have for someone to keep going during times and trials like this? Because a lot of times what runs through people's minds is, you know what, I'm so over it. I'm done. I give up. It's like, what else? What else? When it rains, it pours.
uh, advice I would give to people for me is remember why you started.
Mm,
Remember why you started. Remember, your dreams and what you said you wanted to be.
yeah,
Um, the biggest advice I've been given is it's not easy. And if you think like everybody wants success,
yeah.
but they don't want to go through the process of
Mm,
what comes to be successful, basically. You don't everybody wants that success. We all want it. We want to be,
it
rich
sounds
and
cute and easy.
right, right. And the thing is, every success story
Mhm.
has a story behind it. If it doesn't have a story behind it, then it's not really successful,
Ooh,
so to speak.
okay.
If there's no story behind it,
If
why
somebody
would any
handed you a gold fork and a gold platter, what story behind that aside from somebody just giving you success, right?
right? You know, like everybody, I go back to one of my favorite ones is The Rock,
Mhm.
The wrestler, Dwayne Johnson. So he, you know, he was part of a national championship team with the Miami Hurricanes back in the like early '90s,
Mhm.
and he went on. You know, he wanted to try to be a National Football League player. He wanted to try to go to the NFL. Didn't
Mhm.
end up getting drafted. Then went across the border to Canada and tried out for the Canadian Football League. That didn't work either.
No.
And when all that didn't work, he went to his dad and asked him to train him for wrestling. And he only had, when he came back from the Canadian Football League, he only had, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, it was like $2 to his name or something like that.
Wow.
It wasn't that much money. Yeah, I know that much. He had under 100.
Yeah.
He had under $100 to his name, and he worked his tail off. Nothing was given to him. I mean, yeah, he looked the part of us because he was freaking huge, but
Right.
it, but nothing was given to him.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you have, you know, a legacy as far as like, if you have a parent in a certain industry,
Yeah.
yeah, they can get your foot in the door, but they don't determine your success just because you have their name.
Very true. Very true.
So he took the opportunity that was given to him, but he worked his tail off.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, let's be honest. If we're talking about wrestler to Hollywood actor, he's the most successful without question. It's not even close. So I mean, this man has his own show. He's producing shows, and he can still go back and wrestle whenever the heck he wants to and draw like as many people. Just because I mean he is who he is.
Right. I think the
But
biggest thing with him is, and any other successful person, is they don't put all their eggs in one basket, right? Meaning
right,
they have other means to make income. And because, I mean, you get old, you can't do what you used to do. So you
right.
gotta find other ways and continue that wealth building, if you will.
No, you're absolutely right. His is one of the main stories that I look at, and because I follow him on Instagram and stuff like that. And he tells that story all the time. So, um, and it's something also that my mentor in the insurance industry, who brought me into it, um, told me
Yeah.
that I remember him telling me, he's like, look, he's like, dude, you can sell anything. He's like, you just got that type of charisma. Me personally, when I started in the insurance industry, I was like 24, 25. So
I
I was
remember.
introduced,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was introduced to it very young,
Hmm.
and I'm grateful that I was. However, as far as the mental toughness to get through it, I didn't have it at that time. I
Yeah.
didn't. So I kind of went back to what I knew, and I was just kind of going with a guaranteed, income and stuff like that. How many hours you work, you get paid, da da da.
Never
So
commission based. You don't want to.
yeah, never commission based. Like I said, the insurance industry it pays,
Hmm.
but it's not guaranteed, and that's a lot of people don't have the mental toughness for that. Um,
Risky.
but it's very very risky. But you see a lot of successful people, they don't, they started exactly where others started. It's not like they were, given anything. They had to go to the struggle too.
Yeah.
Um, so nothing's gonna be given to you. If you want to be successful, nothing's gonna be given to you. You're gonna have to work your tail off. There's gonna be times where you're gonna be like, why what am I doing this?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you stick through the struggle, the light's all the way on the other side of the tunnel.
Mm,
Sometimes it might take you 5 years, it may take you 10 years.
there you go.
There's no specific timetable
Right.
to, success. There's no specific timetable. It doesn't just, pop right up in your hand. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
If you want it, you got to work for it, and it's not going to come to you as easily as you want it. That's just not how success works.
No, definitely 100%. 100%. And I always think about the game of life, that game board life. There is a set way that kind of teaches you, here's the success. You graduate from high school. is the success rate, but yet a high school dropout is not a success rate. You know,
Right.
you graduate high school, you get into college, you graduate college, you make a six-figure job, salary,
Hmm.
and then you start a family, right? That's the order that the game of life kind of teaches people, and
Right.
and society's definition of success. But to your point, a lot of people don't graduate with the degree in 4 years. They don't graduate with it, or with the degree that they even work with, right? In some
Right.
cases. And also, some people don't, they just have their own path to life. And it's okay because that's their own definition of success. Most definitely.
Uh, I can definitely attest to that because, as you know, I ain't graduating 4 years.
A lot of us.
uh, right. You know, look, you know that firsthand. I mean, look, your husband, same thing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
a lot of us didn't graduate in 4 years, but the great thing about it is we got it done.
You got
So,
it done. And here y'all are. Everyone is successful in their own way, shape, or form. And it's so amazing to see that, right? Like everyone's gone down their own path. And again, just being surrounded by people that are uplifting, right? You surround yourself by people you want to either be like or you want to help motivate and lift people up. And be happy to lift those people up. And I think that's the biggest thing that some people struggle with is they say, well, Jarrell, I don't know, you got this whole commission-based salary. I'm trying to be like you, but like saying it in a haunty way, not necessarily meaning that they're happy for you. And I think that's just sometimes what a lot of people forget is you have to be happy and not wish any ill will on anybody.
oh, of course, that's a lot of people don't know how to handle their own misery and grief, so they project it onto others.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens a lot more often than not. So you got to be surrounded by like-minded people who uh, are mentally tough,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But even if they're mentally tough, you know, you also want to be there for them too,
For sure.
you know, because look, it takes its toll on everybody. I don't care how mentally tough you are, it takes its toll on everyone.
Right.
So like prime example is I'll say like this week, I tripled
Oh
what I
wow.
would have made at my other job in 1 week.
Woo.
Right. However, there are times where
You ain't
I
sleep.
could, right. I ain't sleep, and also there's sometimes like where I don't make a sale in the week.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everybody. It's like some people that might not sell for like a week or 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That can build on somebody, especially like you know if you got bills and stuff like that. You know that could take its toll.
Right.
However, there's times like I said where like for this week for me that stuff can happen. Like I said, I made triple what I would have made at my last job in a week.
Right.
You know, I tripled that. So it's all about the grind. You gotta see your way through, and you know that you gotta pray, and you gotta study and work your tail off.
That part.
Yeah.
That's a definite. And I think, going back to your point on the fact that a lot of people are very good at hiding their physical like the struggle that they have within. And they can walk around as if nothing is wrong. Because one, they don't want people to have pity on them, and two, they just don't have to deal with that. And they're kind of, I guess, private people. They just don't want other people to know their struggle. But the biggest thing that I think everyone forgets is that you shouldn't be so busy filling somebody else's cup, leaving your cup empty. And that also can take a toll on a lot of people from a even mental and spiritual sense, right? You have to fill your soul up. And that's what people forget, right? And one other question I had for you was, how does one take care of themselves during this time if they are constantly having to take care of others? What does filling one's own cup mean?
Hmm. That's a good question. That might be the toughest one you've asked. Especially when they're taking care of something else. For me, if I had to give any advice on that, I would say do something you love. Like just if it's for something like even if it's for a little amount of time, some type of joy or be around people that you love, even if for a little bit. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be for that long.
Yep.
Um, I'll say this like back in college for us. I mean, just or should I say, not even back in college. Let's just go back like 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Like sometimes you remember when we were in Jacksonville at Rum and Jerk.
Yes, definitely. Fun time.
Yeah, rum and jerk, R&B mostly, like
Yeah.
little stuff like that. Just it those events were maybe 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
Right.
You don't think like, oh yeah, that's not much time. That's all the time we needed. Just seeing each other, just catching up, having fun, vibing to music, dancing, having fun conversations and telling jokes.
Right.
Um, just that little bit amount of time can make a person's day, make a person's week.
Hmm.
Um, so those little times, my advice to anyone, that's especially when they're going through something and they got to take care of others, is just do something that you love. You know, that's really my advice because a lot of people with what we do a lot of things basically working for others,
Mm.
and like you said, and
Every
not
day.
taking care of ourselves.
Every day.
Yeah, right, right. And we don't do the things that we love or want to do,
Hmm.
and like I said, it doesn't even have to be going out. I mean, heck, just throwing like a little get together, a game night.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything extravagant or anything. Just be around, just something, be around the people that you love, and just do something that you love, even if it's for a little while. So
Even
that's
if
my advice.
wow. Now that's amazing advice. And I think that's what people forget is you do need that and then in this case, right, you do need that sense of fellowship, right? It's you put God first, for those of us that are definitely spiritual and have that relationship, and everything else kind of falls around it. But you have to surround yourself by people to help uplift you along the way as well. And I think that's what people forget. And you have to make time for it, right? Make time for what you want to make time for and take out the waste. Like for me, for like you talk about social media breaks. Oh my goodness. Now the iPhones tell you how long you spend on social media scrolling and liking and doing all this stuff, and it's just like all that time that people spend on social media, have those face-to-face interactions instead. Now we can, now that they're kind of taking away this whole mask mandate, still social distance, still practice what you need to practice, but call somebody, pick up the phone and call someone, right? Do it the old-fashioned way. And even though there are people that might be mighty and tough throughout the way, it may seem like they don't need anybody, it's still okay to check up on them.
Right. Absolutely. I 100% agree. That's probably the biggest thing I learned over the pandemic, especially losing such a close friend that I did over Thanksgiving, because I had talked to her just a week before.
Right, right.
So, that happening out of nowhere. And the crazy thing is I thought about her that day.
Mm,
I literally just crossed my mind. I thought about her that day, but I
right.
didn't reach out.
Mm,
So, you know, stuff like that. I mean, especially when it's a person of her stature who was um, always uplifting, always wanted to have fun. Heck, she helped me when I moved down here. My friend Phaedra, she helped me when I moved down here because she had just moved to Orlando maybe a couple of months before I did. We all threw her a going away party and stuff like that. And um she was always like a beacon of light. I can definitely say she made a lot of fun memories for me in my 20s. Definitely one of my closest friends. And um it's one of those things for me, like when that happened, it was just like it was another reminder of don't take anything for granted
Mm,
at all. Don't take anything for granted, and spend as much time with those people as you can. And also another thing really was take as many pictures and videos as you possibly can. I'm
wow.
not a picture and video guy. You know me. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I don't pop up in a lot of men. I don't do all that. I just kind of live in the moment.
Right.
But losing my friend DJ in October, sickle cell, and losing my friend Phaedra in on Thanksgiving, it taught me, I was like, okay, I know this isn't me.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to take as many pictures and videos as I can, because when stuff like that does happen, that's all you really have back to fall on is those memories. And for me, while I have a lot of them in my mind, I don't have a lot of them to look at.
Yeah.
Um, and more so for me, like especially like my friend DJ, it was more so we saw each other a lot,
Yeah.
but like we never took pictures together. We just kind of lived in the moment,
Mm,
you know. And Phaedra, we do have a lot of group, because
yeah.
there were a lot of us as far as like group wise. We all hung out with each other in college, so there are a lot of those memories that I still do have, and I thank God I do have them. As far as individual ones, I wish I had more of those,
For sure.
just kind of look back on. But that's something that I've definitely been doing since, yeah, since December hit. I've definitely been doing that. Like whenever I see my people and stuff like that, I definitely try to, if they want to take a photo or whatever have you, or capture a memory, I'm down. So,
Wow. Wow. I think the biggest thing that I said about you was, wow, he is tough during that time. It was just, you were going through so much. And that's exactly why I wanted to ask you these questions, because I said, how did you do it? I know it took a toll on you. And if it took a toll on you mentally, it had to have taken a toll on you spiritually and physically as well. And these nuggets of making sure that you take pictures, keep those memories, spend time with your friends, make time for what you want to make time for and who you need to make time for, and just take the time out for you. Obviously continue to look at success in your own way, in your own manner, because everyone has a different definition of success. All of that is just the biggest thing that we all need to look at when we're looking at ourselves and saying, how do I want to make an impact? What do I want to do? I don't want somebody else to write my story for me, but all of it goes back to you and taking care of you physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I think that that's basically, what I want to try to get out of this episode is just making sure people understand that, right? You can't do anything to the best of your ability unless you take care of you. Um, but I know we have a few minutes left. Do you have any other nuggets? I mean, you have so many great points here. Do you have any other nuggets you wanted to share and words of wisdom for anybody?
um, let me say this. There's a lot of people that go through things. Um, and the one thing I do want to say, because I actually had a friend of mine, Maisha, she was struggling a little bit. And one thing, success stories wise, one thing about it is you never know who's watching.
Mm, yeah.
You never know who's watching your post or whatever have you. That's why I say it's important to keep going, because your success story could also be someone else's success story.
Mm,
Somebody might not quit because you didn't quit,
mm-hmm.
and you kept going and you kept grinding, and they see that you can do it, so that makes them want to do it. You can be an inspiration to others, and you're not even knowing it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, what I said is, it's crazy how a Facebook story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, the views never really go up
Yeah.
when it's something important.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens. I noticed it a couple times. Like I maybe get about, I don't know, 20, 30 on a good day if it's something like, like a event, or just something like important, like a statistical thing, something like that, right? But as
Mhm.
soon as your face comes in it, or you dressed to the T or something like that, you look good,
Mhm.
300, 400, about
Right.
nearly 500 views, something like that.
Yeah.
Right, right. And it's just like, okay, why are they only pay attention to that? And it's just a whole thing of they see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They see you. Just so everybody, so we're clear, they see you. So, and I'll even go to another point, and this is what I was saying, like as far as like from gospel wise,
Mhm.
people may not want to like go to church. We don't go to church as often. Some of what I'm saying, some people don't go to church as often as they should. What I'm saying. uh Heck, even myself, like to be honest, I've been doing it virtually,
Yeah,
over the pandemic and stuff like that. But I'm gonna work my way back into it myself.
for sure.
Um, but people are always watching because one of the sayings that was said to me is that you might be the only Bible that someone sees.
Mm,
Your life, the way you live it, you know.
yeah.
So it's important, and like I said, this is my advice to anyone. It's important to keep going.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's important to see. It's important to see it through, and don't run away from your calling.
Woo!
So
Don't
that's
run
my.
away from your calling.
You can't escape it. I can tell you that much.
Wow.
Yeah. So um
That's wow.
that
That's a good one.
yeah, you can't run away from your calling. I mean, me personally, like I said, insurance. Stumbled onto that 6 years ago,
Yeah.
and 6 years later, back in it.
Yeah. And
So
I think everything else that you've gone through in between your last insurance gig to now, I'm sure you've learned a lot and you grew personally and professionally. So that helped kind of be the stepping stones for you to be a better insurance agent, and then kind of helping other people along the way. And you know what a lot of people used to say is it's hard for you to sell if you don't have a little bit of gray hair, not necessarily physical gray hair, but meaning the experience along the way. How can
hmm
you sell to somebody if you've never had that product yourself, or if you've never had anything? So from the time that you were 24, you probably never knew what any of that stuff was, let alone had any of it. So now that you have, it's easy for you to sell it because you can tell what your experiences were.
absolutely. And I would never buy into a product that I didn't believe in.
Ah,
I have an insurance policy on myself, so I know.
mm-hmm,
So that was never in question. I would never sell someone something that I didn't personally believe in, or at least hadn't experienced.
right.
Not to say that I don't have an open mind,
Yeah,
but it's just saying that the experience pays a lot more. The people relate to a lot to experience. If
right.
like, or I should say, people relate to people that have been through something similar
Mm-hmm,
that they have been. That
right.
there's a relatability. So uh, when it comes to that, and for me, I just want to make sure my friends are at least taken care of in the insurance like industry,
Right.
and that we're because like I said, a lot of us Black people, we don't believe in it. We really don't.
We'll
And
do it when we get to it.
right, and I was on Facebook this week, and one of my friends, I made a video about it, and it reminded me of why I got back into it, because her father last weekend had passed out of the blue,
Mm,
and she had to ask for money via Cash App and I think Zelly. I think there's the other one. So it just reminded me why I got back into it, so stuff like that doesn't happen to us,
yeah.
and then we're not leaving our family in a bind.
For sure, for sure.
So
No, I need to bring you back to talk about like that, and a part of the whole generational wealth. I definitely want to talk about that as well. Like
oh,
so much to ask you, just based on your experiences. But I definitely will say that for another episode because there's so much to ask. I want to know from somebody from the inside looking out, not the outside looking in. Like how do you even handle that and share and educate people on that. So we'll definitely save that one for sure.
Most definitely.
I know that's deep. That is deep. No, oh my goodness. No, I appreciate you so very much. Like I said to everyone here, you've definitely been a huge help for me in my personal and professional growth for sure. And a part of my own board of directors, as I call it, for anything. I can tap you and be like, hey, Jarrell, hey, what do you think about the future? And like I said, like you said, we're so busy. We don't have as much time to talk like we used to. But we definitely
Right.
make the time for sure.
Most definitely. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, no, I thank you so much. And with that, I will let you sleep. Hopefully, you can get some sleep for the Monday hustle and everything going for you.
Look, thank God I actually have tomorrow off.
Oh,
So
well, you
yeah.
still asleep.
Yeah, I mean, I have tomorrow off, even though I'm probably going to call some clients that then I have the opportunity to meet with last week and stuff like that. So I'm gonna call and see, what's a good time for me to meet them and stuff like that. But tomorrow I actually do have an off day, so uh, I get a little rest here and there, here and there. But just want to make sure everything's in order. So, but
And remember, so
so
physical, mental, sleep and rest. Don't work too hard. Oh my
this past week was that I'd probably say it's trying to figure out how to manage everything.
for sure.
You want to work, you want to work and work hard, to get to where you want to be by any means, but it's also about that managing the time part too. That's something, especially get back adjusted into it.
Oh, for sure.
It's something that's a little because it's different than your just regular job because technically you really make your own hours.
Yeah,
So it's give and take. I'll say it like that.
for sure, for
Give
sure.
and take.
Give and take. Everything is a give and take.
Very much so.
Wow, wow. Well, Jarrell, I appreciate you so very much. And I'm sure a part 2 and a part 3 is coming soon. And we'll be talking soon.
All right, Rochelle, it was a pleasure.
Thanks so much.